The thing about Kobe Bryant is that Kobe Bryant, uh, to a greater degree than any other player in NBA history, um, there was really no defense to Kobe Bryant. What I mean by that is uh, when you look at certainly his prime, okay, and in terms of his offensive production, Kobe Bryant might have a bad shooting night, but there was no defending him. Like no there was no stopping him from getting to his spots. There was really no spot that Kobe could not beat a team from. Um, you know, he remarkably was most effective, like most wings, most effective going to the basket, but he was always a tremendous mid-range shooter. There was no stopping Kobe Bryant. Now, I would say that Kareem Abdul-Jabbar and Michael Jordan are the other two players in NBA history that you really couldn't stop. Now that's true also to a tick less degree of LeBron James, and it certainly is true of Wilt Chamberlain. But my point is, Kobe Bryant, there was no defense to Kobe Bryant, and so therefore, Kobe had the ability to impose his will on the game pretty much whenever he wanted. Now, there's an anecdote wherein Iman Shumpert talks about a game he played against the Lakers. He was with the Knicks, and for 3 quarters, he's doing well. He's defending Kobe, stealing the ball, and has a good game. And so the fourth quarter comes around, and Kobe, pats him on the back and says, "Good game, young fella," and then proceeds to just dominate the game. And this is what I mean. Like, you know, Kobe's ability to decide to just take over the game. And I believe Kobe did this to a greater degree than even Michael Jordan. And I know that's saying a lot. Okay. So I start this video with this clip. This is Kobe's 62-point game against the Dallas Mavericks. Now, if you notice, Kobe at this point in the clip already has about 40 points, and so he's behind the Dallas Mavericks team by about 10 points. In the last 7 minutes of the game, he himself outscores the Mavericks by about 20 points to about 10. Gang, the MVP that won the MVP the next year, he averaged 25 points a game, more than Kobe's career average. His whole team got outscored in 3 quarters. It took Michael Jordan 53 minutes to get 63 points against the Celtics. That was his career high. Well, actually second to his career high. You understand? Kobe scored 62 points in 3 quarters, and he sat for 3 minutes. He didn't even play the whole 3 quarters. 33 minutes. That's like 2 points per minute. The league at the time was averaging only 97 points per game, 2 points per minute. And Wilt's 100-point performance, by all accounts, which seems to have been the result of stat padding with the Warriors playing, Warriors players passing up shots and fouling intentionally to get Chamberlain more opportunities. That game was a blowout. After 3 quarters, the Warriors were up by 19. He also played all 48 minutes in a game that he won by 22 points. By comparison, every one of Bryant's 81 points against the Toronto Raptors were necessary. Also, let me say this. Seems to me that it's easier for a center to play longer minutes than a guard or a wing. Kobe had to create all 46 of his shots. Now, if you want to give Wilt Chamberlain credit for durability, fine, but playing longer doesn't make one a better offensive player. Wilt's 100 points came in a game in which his team scored 169 points. Chamberlain therefore scored 59% of his team's points. Bryant scored 81 points, and his team scored 122 for 66%. Again, Bryant played not 48 minutes, but less than 42. Again, Bryant almost outscored the Raptors by himself on a per-minute basis. The Raptors averaged 2.16 points per minute. Bryant averaged 1.9 points per minute. Chamberlain came nowhere near outscoring the Knicks that game. During the 1961-62 season, NBA teams were averaging 118 points per game. Chamberlain's 100 points was 84% of league scoring. Bryant's 81 was 83% of league scoring, done in 6 fewer minutes. Speaking of league scoring, that 54.4 points per game that Wilt averaged is not so monumental when expressed as a percentage of league scoring. That was 118.8 points per game the year Wilt did it. Adjusted for 36 minutes, Bryant's numbers in 2006 are higher than Chamberlain's numbers, Michael Jordan's number in 1987, or James Harden's numbers in the 2018-19 season. Now, one may counter that Wilt shouldn't be punished for playing more minutes. You'd be right if we were talking about the most durable player. But if we're talking about who dominated his season offensively to a greater degree than any other player, that is Kobe Bryant. A player can only play in the era he played in with the rules and type of play he played against. Not only did Bryant score a lot of points that season, he pulled an awful team all the way to the 7th seed in the Western Conference. Now, I'm going to argue in a future video that Bryant's 2006 Laker team were the least talented team to ever make the playoffs. But again, that's another video. Jordan's 1987 team had Charles Oakley, who led the league in total rebounds that year. Chamberlain that year played with Hall of Famer Paul Azarin and only won 4 more games than Bryant. The 2018 Rockets had 3 regulars that scored at least 15 points a game. These points are relevant because Harden, Chamberlain, and Jordan all had someone else for the defense to worry about, and also had or had a great rebounder to give them extra possessions. Now, that Wilt Chamberlain is considered the greatest offensive player in NBA history is pretty standard. I mean, it's pretty much a consensus of that. The 100-point game and the 50-point-per-game season stands as monumental testaments to the almost superhumane athletic ability of Chamberlain. GOAT discussions are conducted with Wilt on the sidelines. It's as if everyone knows that the numbers Wilt put up were anomalous. The only reason Chamberlain is not the unanimous greatest of all time is that he didn't win as much as a lot of people thought he should. But here's a thought exercise. What if, in addition to having the preternatural offensive accomplishment, Wilt also had 5 titles instead of 2? What if he had also been known as an extremely hard-working player with an indomitable will to win? would there be any debate as to who the GOAT was? What if there was an all-defense team that he dominated instead of Bill Russell? What if Russell had only 8 titles instead of 11 because Wilt proved too much to overcome 3 more times in the 60s? Now, of course, that I'm talking about Kobe. And there's an important point to make here. Kobe Bryant was only asked to carry the offensive load for his team during the overwhelming offensive load during the 2006-2007 season. The vast majority of Kobe Bryant's prime was spent, one, in the triangle offense, and two, playing with an offensively gifted center. This was first it was Shaquille O'Neal, obviously. Then it was Pau Gasol, to some degree, Andrew Bynum, and then Dwight Howard for a season. So the point is, when Kobe was unleashed and asked to carry the overwhelming offensive load for his team, he did it to a greater degree than any other player in NBA history.